A massive shout out goes to Chris Voss for supporting today's video via Patreon. Hinata, wife of Naruto, versus Jodah, Archmage Eternal, Ayara, and Muldrotha. A 2-lander. Dockside might be good enough to keep us in it, but I'm not going to risk... I'm not going to risk this on one dockside. Okay, we've got all of our colours there, along with some protection for the commander if we get that out, so yeah, not a fan of the lack of ramp, but hopefully we'll draw into that. Drew into a simulacrum. That is as far away as our commander is though, so can't necessarily rely on that for ramp. Well, speaking of which, there's a Sol Ring from the Muldrotha, as well as an Ancient Tomb. Don't have any colours yet though. We get into a Mind Crank. Yeah, missing their 3 colours though. Amulet of Vigour for Jodah. And excellent, we get into Felwar Stone. That makes all the difference. That means that we can go for Solemn Simulacrum next turn. Likely that we're going to be able to make all 3 of our colours with the Felwar Stone as well, thanks to the 2 opponents we're up against. We can make red, thanks to Jodah at the moment, and now we can make blue, thanks to Muldrotha, who plays a Confounding Conundrum as well. Just as we're about to go for Solemn. The only land ramp that we've got in the deck, thanks to being Jeskai, and Muldrotha gets into the answer for it. And now there's an Urborg in play as well, so that fixes the Muldrotha's black mana. It can switch on Cabal Coffers for the Ayara as well. And they just went for, basic land cycling on Sylvan Reclamation. So went for a full art island. Stormkiln Artist. Could go for the Stormkiln Artist instead of Solemn, although Solemn still guarantees our land for next turn. So we'll shock in the Sacred Foundry. We lose life, and mill. Gets rid of a Reflecting Pool and a Chaos Warp. And we've got triple blue in our hand, so we'll go for an island here. That triggers the Confounding Conundrum, so we'll bounce the basic Mountain back to hand just in case we're forced to discard. We want to keep the triple blue. Deathrite Shaman, they do have green mana from the Bayou now. Seeing Ayara, First of Locthwain, that is the first spell being cast by the Ayara player. They lose life there, or we all lose life to Ayara. So that is Champion's Helm being discarded or milled, as is Urban Evolution. And curiously, the currently Grixis player taps out and doesn't do anything else there. We do not get into another land, so we've got our land from the Solemn. And we could go for our commander here. I think I might want to go a little bit slower and go Stormkiln Artist. This is the type of card that is really good if I can get it into play, but I just never want to take the turn off to do it, so let's go for it here. And then likely going for Hinata next turn. It would be really good to get into another blue source, because then we could maybe hold up Sublime Epiphany for 2 mana, maybe. But we've got the Fierce Guardianship to protect our commander regardless. Muldrotha holding up 7 mana is always worrying, so yeah, not sure what else they could have there, to be honest. That is Nykthos, Shrine to Nyx. They do have triple black in their commander. Now seeing a Twilight Prophet, which is going to be some more card draw for them. Wouldn't mind stealing that from them, actually, with the Blatant Thievery. Milling an Arcane Denial away from us, as well as a Gruul Guildgate over there. Well, not sure what's going on with the 5-colour player here. Still stuck on 3 lands. 3 colours even, 4 lands. That Gruul Guildgate going down might have really hurt. Maybe they're waiting on white or green mana. Anyway, we are just drawing into a bunch of payoff pieces for when we get our commander into play. So let's try and get Hinata going. Alright, excellent. And now we've got Semester's End held up as well, because we've got 3 different targets for that. So we can also go Fierce Guardianship if that doesn't work, Semester's End. So fairly confident that we'll keep our Hinata. Deathrite Shaman, exiling our Arcane Denial. That loses us all some life, and unfortunately losing a Whirlwind of Thought, that doesn't feel good. Although Constant Mists going down over here is really good, so that suggests that it might be some kind of Lands Matter theme. 5-colour Lands Matter, Kiora going down as well. See a board wiping Mutilate being milled here as well. Deathrite Shaman going for exiling the Gruul Guildgate here now as well, making sure that they stay off that green mana. And there we see Diluvian Primordial, so what are they going for here? There's Chaos Warp. There's Mutilate, so we can dodge all this with Semester's End. Urban Evolution here. Sylvan Reclamation. So yeah, anyway, nothing we can do about the Diluvian Primordial. We'll have to hope that we manage to keep our Felwar Stone through the... what is it called again? The Sylvan Reclamation. Okay, luckily, going for Urban Evolution here. A Mutilate there. And Chaos Warp. Alright, so stacking the cards up like that, not bothering to go for a Chaos Warp. And Ayara not going for the sacrifice onto the Twilight Prophet, maybe hoping that we will counter this. Well, we're going to counter it for ourselves, but not for anyone else. That can be a Semester's End, exiling all of our stuff and it'll come back in stronger. Stormkiln Artist, already being rewarded for taking the turn off to play that. It's noteworthy that the Muldrotha player does control a bunch of swamps because of the Urborg as well, so it is -4/-4, which does get rid of the Ayara player's board. Probably should have gone for the card draw while they could. And there's our friend, Field of the Dead as well, followed by a Grindstone, so yeah, going for combos most certainly. We get a Solemn Simulacrum back into play, which is going to fix our colours even further. Finally seeing Jodah, Archmage Eternal, come into play after a Plains has entered the fray. So seeing as how we've just seen a board wipe, I don't think it's best to go for Blatant Thievery at the moment. Holding up Sublime Epiphany is definitely the thing to do here. We can have that cost only 2 mana if we go for drawing a card, creating a token copy, returning a non-land permanent and countering something. And then we've got Mystical Tutor to grab something else as well if we like, so we're looking pretty good here. So I think we're just trying to be reactionary here. Let's start swinging in towards the Muldrotha player, because they are looking pretty scary over there. Oh, whoa, actually, I didn't realise the Diluvian Primordial has flying. Whoops. Yeah, well that was stupid, wasn't it? So in that case, I'm going to have to... yeah, undo my error here. Luckily, the Mystical Tutor is going to replace itself mana-wise with a Stormkiln Artist. So we'll just grab a Swords to Plowshares here off of that. And then we can go Sublime Epiphany. It's going to cost us 3, unfortunately. But we can return the Jodah back to hand. Make a copy of the Solemn is probably best. I think we've only got 1 basic left. But we'll go for the Solemn. And we'll choose to draw a card as well. Yeah, totally goof there. This has flying, obviously, so... yeah, really should have looked at that before I went barreling in. The black player holding up priority here, so might be looking to interfere, but we do draw into the Swords to Plowshares, so let's get that out of the way. Yeah, wasted both the Mystical Tutor there and the Sublime Epiphany, all because of a bad attack. That does feel pretty bad. Need to remember, I think this is the last basic as well. Don't have too many basics in the deck. Yeah, just 1 Plains left. Grindstone being pointed at us. We do have a lot of blue stuff in the deck, but a 3-colour player might not be the best target for the Grindstone. Obviously just punishing us for going in towards them. So getting rid of a Soulfire Eruption and a land from us. And then a Culling Ritual. Yeah, as much as I would like to counter that, I don't think it's good enough. It's not going to lose our board state here, so it's not worth countering that, I don't think. We'll just lose our treasure tokens, our rocks to that, basically. Now seeing a Heartless Act. That goes on to the Stormkiln Artist. Yeah, again, I don't trust that the other players won't have removal for our Hinata. I'd rather not cast it again, especially with the treasure tokens going down here, so I will allow the Stormkiln Artist to get blown up. Oh, actually, with a Heartless Act, yeah, they can't kill it, can they? They can only remove the counters from it with Heartless Act. Yeah, that's really good, so certainly glad I didn't make another error and counter that. Should probably have floated blue mana there, but I don't think it's going to be relevant. Anyway, making 11 mana there. There we see a Bane of Progress, so yeah, right after the Culling Ritual, all that really does is draw us a couple of cards from the Solemns. Yeah, I don't really mind that, to be quite honest. And now seeing a means of making more tokens with Dika, Swiftfoot Boots as well to help protect the commander. Alright, and that's what I was concerned about slightly, the Cyclonic Rift. Yeah, I think we can encourage our opponents to point removal at the commander then. They're pumping a hell of a lot of effort into just clearing 2 creatures there. Yeah, we might be punished for using our Fierce Guardianship here, but they have dealt with our mana quite nicely, so we'll go for it there. Now this is where we'll be punished for wasting the Sublime Epiphany, because we could counter a board wipe or some targeted removal with the 2 mana that we've got now, and we'd end up with a copy of Stormkiln Artist with the Sublime Epiphany as well, so time to see if we get punished. Yep, there is another one, that's Black Sun Zenith, so that gets rid of the Stormkiln Artist. We're getting rid of a hell of a lot of removal from my opponent's hands, so that is good. Not going to lose the Hinata at least. Reduces the Bane of Progress down to a 1-1 as well, which is much less frightening. Seeing the Jodah come back into play again as well, so considering my screw up, it could have been a lot worse for us, that turn cycle. And we're at least getting a lot of interaction out of our opponent's hands. Hallowed Fountain is good. I wonder about Dika. Maybe it's a smarter idea to go Swiftfoot Boots here. And then we'll shock in the Hallowed Fountain and maybe go for Dika set up for next turn. And then it's once again hoping that we don't lose our commander. Yeah, can definitely go for some things. I'm wondering if we should be looking at stealing the Field of the Dead over there. It would actually be online if we stole that next turn. It's online for them. Bajuka Bog probably gets pointed at us, as it probably should be. We don't have too much interaction with the graveyard, but we do have a means of getting flashback online. So that tactic goes down. Muldrotha the Gravetide in here. This is what I was waiting for. I was thinking of going for the Blatant Thievery for the Field of the Dead, but I think we'll be able to get a better choice of what to steal once Muldrotha hits play again. Worst case scenario, we just steal Muldrotha. Anyway, they replay the Deathrite Shaman and the Sol Ring. And the 1-1 swings in at the black player. So Ayara coming back into play again. We've seen 2 board wipes from the black player, of course, with the Zenith and the Mutilate. So don't expect to see another one. Thankfully, still no Wooburg from the Jodah player. Well, if we steal the Jodah away, they're just going to have to scoop. They've got 8 cards in hand here and really struggled on the mana front. Getting that Guildgate milled was yeah, really tough time for them. They discard hand size, Ley Line of Anticipation. That is a Reality Spasm for us, which is a means of ramping, as well as tapping down permanents if we so wish. Do we just pull the trigger on Blatant Thievery? I think we steal the Field of the Dead, Muldrotha. Oh, actually, it's for each opponent. For each one, gain control of a target permanent they control. Yeah, I thought it was each opponent, so Magic Online is letting us choose multiple targets here, but I don't think it should do that, so I'm going to play it honestly. Let's steal Ayara and Jodah, maybe? No, I think I'll go after the Nykthos for a bit more mana. So that is going to cost 4 mana, including 3 blue. Make a big Fractal token as well. So now we've got some decent blockers. Maybe should have floated a bunch of mana with the Reality Spasm, so that we could also go Distorting Wake. I don't mind bouncing a lot of stuff back to Muldrotha's hand, really. Yeah, so let's leave it at that. Going at the black player with the Ayara. They're looking at us anyway, so might as well just deal a free Lightning Bolt to them. Confounding Conundrum back into play as the enchantment from the graveyard. And they do draw a card when that enters. Then deciding on getting the Mindcrank back into play. And that is followed by Drogon Necromancer, which is a means of stealing our spells. They do have to pay for those though, so seems as though this Muldrotha player is going after stealing spells and permanents and stuff. And the 6/6 swings in towards Jodah. That will be 6 commander damage from Muldrotha. Loyal Subordinate for Ayara. And we all lose life into the Mindcrank, so in the same position again. Losing a Jeska's Will this time, unfortunately. Getting some good mills on us. Once again, the 5-colour player getting screwed there, losing the Chromatic Lantern. So they're getting screwed even more on the mill front. Then each opponent loses 3 life, so that is Mindcrank once again. And we lose our own Chromatic Lantern, Arcane Signet and a land. Really looking to start drawing a bunch of cards here, to be honest, so not too worried about losing the lands or the mana. Yeah, the Jodah player, I mean, I do appreciate it's turn 8. They've been totally screwed in this game with regards to colours, so just really unlucky there. They do decide to scoop it. Can't really complain about that. Grateful for them sticking it out for as long as they have. So making it round to our turn once again. And there's an Eerie Interlude, so once again can protect our stuff. But there's not really much of anything that we're doing here, to be honest. So maybe we just go for the Distorting Wake and try and slow our opponents down even further. I mean, we're making fractal tokens at least. So yeah, it's Distorting Wake. Not going to bounce the Bane of Progress back to hand though. So X is 9, totaling 12 mana in total. And with X spells, the converted mana cost, or the mana value, does change with X spells. So the value does change on the stack. So instead of it being 3 converted mana cost, it is actually 12 here. And in response, Deathrite Shaman goes for exiling our Blatant Thievery, which is probably a good idea. So we'll each lose 2 life, and that will trigger the Mind Crank again. Once again, losing us some lands. Oh, and what I should have done there was move the Swiftfoot Boots over to the big fractal. Yeah, that was silly not doing that. Okay, well, regardless, we will swing in towards the Muldrotha player, giving them back the Bane of Progress, but yeah, anyway, we'll swing in towards them. And they do happily block with Bane of Progress, so going to deal only 5 damage to them. Now what we could do to try and hurt the Muldrotha player and buy even more time is during their upkeep go for Reality Spasm and tap down their mana. Yeah, that might be a good idea actually. We can make the double blue thanks to the black player's Nykthos that we've stolen. So they're on 8 cards in hand, won't be able to do anything with them if we have anything to say about it. So we make double blue from the Nykthos. And once again, Dika is going to make a fractal token. That will be a 10-10 because X is 8. We are pointed at the swamp over here as well. So it's been pretty slow and clunky, but that's Jeskai for you. Just wanting to slowly plod your way into a position where you can actually do something to your opponents. They play out Tropical Island into a Sol Ring, and we'll likely see the Mind Crank again here, I think. Yep. So it's a board wipe for the black player as well. They haven't done too well on mana themselves, unfortunately. And both of them decide to scoop it up there, so yeah, the black player with 7 cards in hand and only 5 mana by turn 9 didn't feel as though they had anything. Like I said, we've already seen 2 of their board wipes, and the Mutilate wouldn't have helped them there anyway. Neither would the Black Sun Zenith, actually. Yeah, plan was there to take out the Muldrotha player, who's at 22. We could do that with these 2 fractals alone. And then swing in also at the black player. That would be 12 damage, and then we can likely get rid of them next turn as well. Can protect our 2 non-token creatures with the Eerie Interlude, so it was looking pretty commanding for us towards the end there, and that would have been an excellent draw. So even if someone did get to wipe the board, we can at least refill our hand with a paradoxical outcome, which would only have been 1 mana to draw a bunch of cards and protect your stuff. So that's that. Made a slight error, but managed to hold on with Hinata anyway, so hopefully you all enjoyed it. Be sure to let me know if you want to see more from this one. Be sure to consider donating on Patreon as well if you do enjoy them. Massive thank you to the patrons who are already supporting. I'm tribalkai on the eedi-H channel. Thank you for watching.